It was late, on a rainy night, in Moraba, Brazil. Gustavo was returning home after another delivery. His wife, Laura, was perhaps waiting for him. But tonight, Gustavo has made up his mind. He's going to do it. He has to get rid of Laura. As long as Laura is in his life, he can never have Jeannie, the woman he now loves. But there was a time when things were different with Laura. A time when they were in love. It was almost 17 years ago when they first met at the village carnival. She was beautiful. She was sweet. They fell in love and got married. Life was good back in those days, even though Gustavo wasn't doing quite well. His father agreed to help him out. He loaned him some money, and Gustavo opened his own fish farm and started doing business. Things weren't easy. There were ups and downs, and Gustavo and Laura were struggling with money. But they were still happy together. But in the 4th year, for some unknown reason, all his fish died, and Gustavo went deep into debt. Everything was lost, and Gustavo was devastated. If it wasn't for Laura, he would have never come out of that difficult situation. Laura sold her inherited family home to save the farm. And out of his love and gratitude for her, Gustavo wrote half of the farm in her name. Life seemed so perfect, so content with each other. But the real problem began when they realized they couldn't have children. Those first few years, as they were trying for a child, it was fun, it was happening. But it soon became clear it wasn't working, as Laura couldn't conceive. From there, the relationship slowly grew bitter. Laura didn't want to believe it was her. She doubted him. She questioned his manhood. And then, the arguments, the insults, the fights. Laura couldn't stand him. Before long, Gustavo's happy marriage. His household broke apart. Nothing was like how it was before. He never had a good meal, or a night of peace, or even those small moments of happiness with Laura. And this is how it has been for the past 9 years now. Living together had become stressful and agonizing, and sometimes Gustavo couldn't take it anymore. He ended up staying late nights out at the pub, drinking to forget his miseries. And it was one of those nights he met Jeannie. Jeannie is everything Laura is not. She is young, beautiful. She is exciting. People say she has a questionable past. But now, Jeannie is Gustavo's girl, and only his girl. And above it all, she is with his child. Gustavo wants to be with her. He wants Jeannie to be his wife. But Jeannie will never agree to that as long as he has a relationship with Laura. In fact, Jeannie told him she would get rid of the child unless he leaves Laura. Parking the lorry, Gustavo stepped out onto the farm. Walking around the property, he quickly inspected all the fish in the pools. The shrimp, tilapia, bass, and catfish. and others he had invested all these years. With a sigh, Gustavo returned to the cabin, dropping his boots out on the porch. Entering inside, he was a bit surprised by the aroma. Hearing the door, Laura came out of the kitchen in her apron. "Gustavo, you're back early. How did everything go with the delivery?" "All right. Freshen up. I made your favorite meal." Gustavo took off his cap and jacket and sat down on the sofa as Laura brought out a platter of lamb chops. "Let me get you a drink." Things had gotten so bad for the past 3 years. He and Laura had been sleeping separately. Gustavo had been sleeping in the living room. But recently, Laura has changed. She has been colorful and happy. She hasn't been arguing with him and kept to herself much of the time. But it was in this past week, he had noticed Laura was fixing up one of the rooms in the house, painting it, decorating it, perhaps for him. But it's too late now. If only she had been like this even a year ago. Maybe Gustavo would have never gone to Jeannie to begin with. And now, Jeannie has become his life. She's pregnant with his child. But Gustavo wished things didn't have to be this way. But he doesn't have a choice. If he simply leaves Laura, he will lose half of the farm, for which he has dedicated his whole life. He is ever grateful to Laura for this farm and everything she has done for him. But everyone deserves happiness. And the honest truth is, Laura has not been fair with him. As the rain poured heavily outside, Gustavo headed to the kitchen. He approached Laura by the counter, making his drink. This was it. "Gustavo, I was about to..." Laura is now gone from his life, and soon she would be erased from everyone else's. Laura doesn't have many relatives who would go out of their way to find her. At best, they'd report her to the police. But Gustavo had planned everything ahead of time. Exactly 3 days later, Gustavo himself informed the police of her disappearance. "My wife, I don't know where she is. I have a fishing business. 3 days ago, I went on a delivery out of town, and when I returned, she wasn't home." "Did she mention anything about going anywhere?" "No. I tried searching for her everywhere. I contacted her relatives, but no one knows anything." The police launched an investigation, but they were unable to get any lead of the whereabouts of Laura. But they found an interesting information. Half of Gustavo's farm was under her name. "Officers, have you gotten any information on Laura?" "Yes. We have a warrant, and we would like to inspect your property." "My property?" Gustavo knew when he reports Laura missing, all the suspicion would be on him. Once the police discover half of the farm was under Laura's name, and after her death, it would be his. And sure enough, the police arrived to search his property. Come in. Walking into the house, Officer Marcus didn't find anything unusual. It was unorganized. Much of the things were all over the place. As he passed through the rooms, however, he stopped at a particular one. Strong smell. Yes, my wife was recently fixing this room. She painted it. She was decorating the house? Then why would she suddenly leave? I don't know. I'd like to see your farm. Sure. How long have you been in this business? About 17 years now. What are these? I raise various species of fish in each of these pools. There are shrimp, tilapia, bass, trout, and some more. As Officer Marcus took out his flashlight and thoroughly checked the waters, he ushered one of his men. Bring in the K9 unit. Dogs? Are you doubting These aren't shark. They're baby fish. They eat very little food. Gustavo showed Officer Marcus the containers of fish feed and scooped some out. They have a few spoons of this, that's all. Alright. Nonetheless, Officer Marcus had the whole property searched by the K9 unit. However, despite his suspicion on Gustavo, nothing was detected. And rather disappointingly, the police had to leave. 6 months have passed since Gustavo and Jeannie recently got married, and she moved in with him. Living with Jeannie, Gustavo felt happy in a very long time. She took care of him, gave him her time. Things were different in the house now, and it wouldn't be long before Gustavo would get to see his child. But in all this, there was one day when Gustavo returned from one of his deliveries. He noticed a man leaving the house. Who is he? Gustavo waited for him to leave. Before he hurried home to find Jeannie setting the table for him. Gustavo, I was waiting for you. Who was that? Who? You know who. I saw him leaving. He's just someone I know from before. You never told me about him. It's nothing, Gustavo. Nothing? You bring another man into the house while I'm gone and you expect me to believe it was nothing? What do you have with him? Gustavo, stop it. I'm going to be the mother of your child. How could you even ask me that? Just because I'm married to you doesn't mean I can't even speak to another man. People are right. I should have never trusted you. Laura was never like this. Laura? So now you're missing her? Now I know why she left you. You're too aggressive, possessive. No woman can live with you. As she got teary, Jeannie ran in the room and locked the door. Gustavo ran after her, calling her, but Jeannie wouldn't answer. That night, Gustavo stared at the living room sofa. In his rage, he kicked it. This is what he had to deal with after everything. Hopelessly, he went to sit down, when suddenly, one of the legs of the sofa cracked apart. Damn. Another hour passed, and Jeannie didn't open the door. Gustavo went to the other room. It had been locked all these months, and when he opened it, he was surprised by the smell of sweet almonds still strong in the air. Laying down on the bed, Gustavo wondered about everything that had happened, everything he had done. Was it worth it? But as he lay down on the bed that night, he didn't know he would never wake from this sleep. Gustavo had been having an affair behind Laura's back all this time. But what he didn't know was that, even before him, Laura too had been with someone else. When she and Gustavo were unable to conceive, and after all those tests and doctor visits, they came to the conclusion that she was the problem. Laura couldn't accept that. She didn't trust Gustavo and thought it was all a lie. She thought it was him. She blamed his manhood. And as time went on, she began to build up hatred and rage against him. And in all this, she met Danilo. Danilo was a young man who used to bring supplies for Gustavo's fish. When Laura and Gustavo became distant, she ended up talking to Danilo. And over time, as one thing led to another, they got close and got into a relationship. Oftentimes, Gustavo would be out for 2 or 3 days for his deliveries. And in those days, Danilo would stay over with Laura, sleep with her, in that same bed as Gustavo. How long are we going to be like this? Don't worry, I have a plan. We won't lose the farm, and you and me can be together forever. What? Gustavo and I have been sleeping separately for the past 2 years now. I can't stand him, and I know he doesn't feel anything for me either. But since he's been sleeping in the living room, I'll prepare the other room for him. All you have to do is bring me Prussian blue paint. It contains cyanide. One night, sleeping in that toxicity should do it. So Laura began preparing the room for Gustavo, being nice to him for a change so she could surprise him. But that night, before Laura could go through with her plan, Gustavo completed his. That night, after Gustavo took her life, he took Laura's body and put it in the grinder with his fish feed. He then distributed it among all his fish, and within 3 to 4 days, by the time the police arrived, there was no trace of Laura anymore. And now, 6 months later, with Laura's case closed, Gustavo had escaped the law. But for some reason, even now, there's something on his mind. Something eating him from within. Is that really my child?
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.